about Supreme Commander. This game is old, almost 15 years old. It came out in 2007, but I feel as though it's still the best, most advanced real-time strategy game ever created. Some of the innovations in strategic visualizations and logistics that it introduced have never been matched, let alone exceeded, to this day. Given that the genre was largely superseded by multiplayer online battle arena games such as Dota, it seems unlikely that we'll ever see a better traditional RTS in this vein. I'll be making an ongoing series of Supreme Commander videos with the goal of making it through all 18 of the original campaign missions, and then proceed through the expansion Forged Alliance as well. These missions can be multiple hours long apiece, so it'll be a marathon rather than a sprint, and a lot of the missions are likely to require multiple videos. I'll do my best to explain some of my strategy as I play. If you're a fan of old-school RTSs such as Warcraft 1 and 2, Command & Conquer, Dune 2, and especially Total Annihilation, I really hope you'll appreciate what I show you and will feel motivated to seek out Supreme Commander on Steam.
Mr. President.
Our latest intel is pretty disturbing. How accurate is it?
Very. All hell has broken loose.
This couldn't be happening at a worse time.
With all due respect, sir, we're spread too thin. We're forced to defend hundreds of worlds while the Aeon and Cybrans can pick and choose where they attack. I recommend evacuating the outer planets and positioning our forces along a defensive perimeter.
It wasn't an option a year ago, and it's not an option now. We will reclaim the systems lost to the Aeon and the Cybran, no matter the cost. What about Black Sun?
Barring any major setbacks, it will be operational within 5 weeks.
That weapon is the culmination of my presidency. I want you to personally oversee its final stages of development. Is that clear, General Clark?
Yes, sir. One final thing, Mr. President. A new group of commanders is coming online, and one of them is quite remarkable. He's scheduled to gate immediately.
Armored Command Unit final systems check complete. Prepare for pilot integration. Gate M7 is charged and ready, Lieutenant. Good hunting. Earthcom out.
Lieutenant, you are being assigned to Colonel Arnold for the duration of your probationary period. His word is law. Intel reports that 2 Cybran commanders gated to Capella over an hour ago. We presume they're attempting to inflame the symbiont population.
Why is our time being wasted with this op? The local forces there should be able to handle it.
Because of President Riley's insistence that we fight across multiple fronts, we had to pull troops away from Capella for other ops. As a result, the research facilities on Capella are only lightly defended. The Cybrans must not be allowed to compromise our work.
Are we there to secure Capella for good? Or are we gonna let it fall to the Cybrans in a month?
You have your orders, Colonel. You gate at 11:30 hours. Dismissed.
Listen up, rookie. I know what they taught you at the Academy regarding Cybran tactics, but you need to forget all that crap. The Cybrans are no longer running from a stand-up fight, and they're not afraid to come at you with guns blazing. Your predecessor forgot that, and paid the price. Start by building some power generators and mass extractors.
Schematics downloaded.
As you can see, in this game, you can queue up as many build orders as you like in a row. You don't have to complete one before you complete the next one.
Schematics downloaded.
Now then, build a land factory to take advantage of all that power and mass. Get it done.
I'm building 2 factories instead of the one that they require, just so that I can start spamming units more quickly. I'll also build some extra power generators, because while those aren't necessary now at all, they'll come in very handy much later. If I wanted to take some units out of the build queue that my commander has here, I can right-click down in the queue and remove them. You see now that they're gone from up on the screen.
Schematics downloaded.
Now I'll put them back.
Okay, now build a bunch of MA-12 Striker medium tanks. Move them around and get used to the controls.
Before I build the tanks, I'm going to build some point defense turrets. These will help protect against ground units. Up here on the left, you can see my rate of acquisition of mass, which is one of the 2 resources that I use to build everything. As long as I'm building only a small unit or nothing at all, then this will be positive, and so my overall stockpile will be going up. In the upper right corner, I have energy, which is produced by generators.
System enabled.
I have 2 factories here that both have the capability to produce exactly the same units. So one of the things I can do that's interesting about Supreme Commander is I can set one factory to assist the other. That means that I can use only the build queue of the one which is being assisted, but both factories will work on creating everything in that queue. Now I'm going to queue up 10 medium tanks or so, and they will both start producing them. There you go, both making tanks. For both factories, they will head to the rally point here, established for the factory that is being assisted. Unlike a lot of RTSs, this is less a game of
Now
can I
take your
afford
tanks
to
and
build
destroy that
things,
Cybran radar.
and more a
There's a
game
couple
of
of
can
units
I afford
defending
the
it,
rate of
but your
resource
tank should make
consumption
short work of
building
them.
things. You see that I've got
Operation area
-11
expanded.
mass incoming, but that's alright because I have enough stock that I can afford that loss for a short period. I can also pause the building just so that my resource drain stops going down so quickly. While I was talking, the map area opened up a little bit, and so now we can see my first target, which is this radar system over here. I'm going to add an engineer to my build queue, which is a construction unit rather than a combat unit. And now my commander is back to building my extra point defenses here. I finished building all 10 tanks, and now there is the construction unit that I requested. I'm going to send out a single tank just to come over here in case that radar is defended. This tells me the range that that tank can shoot at, although really these point defense turrets are more than capable of handling any enemies, as you just saw right there. Now, I will advance my engineer over here, and instead of destroying this radar system, I'm going to capture the radar system. If there are more enemy units over there defending it, then I'll just have to run my engineer back within the range of those defense turrets quickly enough that he doesn't get killed. Looks like, unfortunately, this early in the game is not going to allow me to capture. Destruction it is. You'll see here that you can just click and drag to batch select units. There is no arbitrary limit, such as in most games, on how many units you can control at a time. If I wanted to, I could build 500 of these tanks and then control
Unit
them all as a single
schematics
group.
downloaded.
Nice work. Always build as quickly as possible. It'll save your backside if you gate into a hot LZ. Get some additional units online, and destroy that airbase to the southwest. There's some Cybran bombers prowling around. So take a few mobile anti-air with you.
Operation area expanded.
You now have the ability to produce more small units like this mobile anti-air gun, artillery pieces, scout bots and scout motorcycles. Let's make about 10 of those anti-air guns that we can scatter around to defend us from bombers. For now, I'm going to treat these anti-air trucks as if they're static units instead of mobile ones. I'm also going to get creating some extra mass extractors so that my rate of mass acquisition goes up. So with a few more anti-air guns, these ones are actually going to go out with the tanks. And then a whole batch more tanks and maybe some artillery pieces. I'll also set the rally point to be down here with the rest of my units, so that as they get used, they'll come out and join up with them immediately instead of just waiting up here. Since this engineer isn't doing anything else useful, I'm actually going to have him come over here and assist the factory, which will let the factory build units a little bit more quickly. What I'm doing here is using the left shift build button, which allows me to see everybody's pending orders. These blue lines are movement, the yellow lines are actions like assisting. So you see this factory is assisting that one, and this engineer is assisting that factory. Almost done with my army here. there we have it. Instead of having them all move to my target point at once, I'm using two legs just so that they line up in the direction that I'd like them to face. Now that they're in formation, I can have them just rampage over the enemy.
The more you oppress us, the stronger we become!
Attackers. Once it gets there, we're going to have them start building static defenses. I also have this extra engineer come over and start building mass extractors.
Not bad, rookie. But don't let it go to your head. Make one mistake and the Cyberns will tear you apart. Blast, there's another Cybern commander. I'm gonna deal with him. The rest of this op is yours. I'm leaving you with some reinforcements. They're a few steps above your pay grade, but that doesn't mean you can't play with them.
That airbase was meaningless. The larger struggle remains.
Ignore his psychobabble.
Operation area expanded.
Alright, here are the reinforcements he promised, and this is our introduction to the idea that we have multiple tiers of unit. All these things that I have been producing, if you look at the tactical icons, you can just barely see that there's a single white dot at the bottom of each one. That one white dot, or very short white line, means that it's a Tier 1 unit. These reinforcements I was just given, on the other hand, have two little white dots or lines, meaning they're a Tier 2 unit. So these are significantly more powerful and more capable than the units I've been using, and some of them are a little bit different varieties than what we're accustomed to. We have a mobile missile launcher, which is a little bit like an artillery piece, except with even better range, higher damage, and the missiles can be intercepted by anti-missile systems that the enemy might possess. We have a mobile anti-air gun, which is actually one of the ones that I produced initially. It just got stuck up in that capture. We've got heavier tanks, which are pretty self-explanatory. And we've got a new type of mobile flak artillery, which is the same anti-aircraft guns that I've been producing, except these are once again stronger and more powerful. Unfortunately, the fact that we can control these does not give us the fact to produce them. We still only have a Tech 1 factory, so it can't produce Tech 2 units. What you're seeing down here is pretty much all static defenses. We've got anti-air turrets to protect them against aircraft, which I don't have any of, so no big deal there. We've got point defense turrets, which are the same things that I'm building. It'll just shoot anything that comes too close. In order to get around those, we're basically going to start suicide charging them with the smaller Tech 1 units, just because I can produce as many as I like of those. Once again, our factories are going to start producing masses of units. This time I'm going to do something a little bit more interesting. I'm going to pause it while I talk through this. But the queue I'm going to set up to produce 3 medium tanks, 1 artillery piece, and 1 anti-air gun. Then I'm going to use this infinite build order. And what this means is that every factory that's connected to this one is going to just go through that list and then start all over again at the beginning, and they're going to build these same 4 units over and over and over until either they are incapable or I tell them to stop. Now, I will build another factory, and once that's completed I will have it assist these first 2 as well, so that they're also contributing to the massive warfare. One thing I might be able to do with these missile launchers is I might be able to engage these point defense turrets from beyond their range, which, if it works, will let me take them out with no threat to my units. It's kind of hard to tell, but the circle that represents the range of this missile launcher is much larger than the circles that represent the ranges of the tanks. Well, it looks like I was correct. The range on these missile launchers is long enough that I can just pick off these defensive turrets from outside their range. Let's go ahead and bring in the rest of the missile launchers. See how the circles around each of these icons on the map represents that they are one of my objectives that I need to destroy in order to advance to the next stage. They'll stay on these even though they've been destroyed until I have somebody in visual range who can confirm that they've been destroyed. Some of these units a little bit closer just in case some enemy units come up. And right on cue. We really don't want to lose these missile launchers because we don't have the ability to get any more at any point during this mission. At this point, the missile launchers have done enough work that we can just run our tanks through here and take over everything else. Let's go ahead and move our rally point down here. And to attack those. These guys can bring up as well.
You have taken out my defensive line. I won't underestimate you again.
Schematics downloaded.
Here's your next assignment. You need to take out the Cybran commander. I don't care how you do it, just as long as it gets done.
Operation area expanded.
Commander, can you read me? This is Assistant Research Director Thompson. The Cybrans are attacking us, and I don't know how much longer our defenses will hold. I'm patching you into our systems. You'll have access to our long-range radar.
So several things going on here. First of all, my map is expanded once again. A lot more going on here. This is an allied city, which you can tell because they're blue just as I am, and they've got a defensive line holding off this choke point. You can see these gray units here. They're actually going to come up and start attacking, and so what we need to do is get some units in here to reinforce that line and make it so that this position cannot be overrun. They gave us radar coverage to where we can see all of this even though we haven't built a radar ourselves, which is just fine. If we did have a radar, we would also notice that there might be some enemy units hiding over here on this side. Another thing that's going on is these green icons here are locations where we can build mass extractors, which you might have picked up already. So each time I capture a little bit more territory, I've got my commander coming out and building new mass extractors to support my production of units. This keeps my number up here happy and positive. You now see I'm up to 19, 11... I now have the ability to build anti-air turrets. So
Commander, we have a light artillery installation available, but we don't have enough power to fire it. The Cybran has some Tech 2 power generators to the far west. If you can capture one of them, we can tap into your grid and fire the weapon.
I like it! Go capture one of those Tech 2 power generators.
So about those potential units that I said could be over here, we now have an optional objective to go and capture these generators just the same way that I tried to capture that radar initially at the very beginning and couldn't. If we can get one or more of those captured, And that will give us enough power that we can run this gigantic artillery piece, which can then start shelling the enemy base for us. Pretty good trade overall.
Your leaders are nothing more than liars. Do not believe their propaganda.
So now we've got one engineer working on building a bunch of defensive point defense turrets, and we've got my commander coming down here to build air defense turrets. This will make this line pretty well impregnable to enemy attack. In the meantime, here go my units streaming down just to help reinforce that defensive line, as I mentioned. Here's enemies coming up attacking from just beyond my ability to see. Let's get those cleared out. And there my engineer just died, so everything that he had in his build queue is now gone. What I want to do now is I'm going to tell this factory to stop assisting the other factories, and then I'm going to have it build its own build queue instead. We're going to produce 3 engineers, and then I can use those engineers to build fortifications. And there they are. This guy is going to be tasked with assisting the commander. One of these guys is going to assist the other one, and that other one is going to get started on building the point defense units that the other engineer was not successfully able to build.
Commander, we have analyzed the Cybran's base. All of their anti-air towers are positioned along their southern perimeter.
That's what we needed to hear. Round up some ground forces and destroy those anti-air towers, rookie. Once they're down, bomb the Cybrans back to the Stone Age. You should also look at getting a second base off the ground. There's a lot of mass where the Cybran defensive line was positioned. Check it out.
Now that this factory is finished producing engineers, I'm going to reassign it to assisting the other factory once again. You're not too worried about losing these units right here, because essentially all they're doing is just stalling while I build the fixed emplacements among the walls here. Once the fixed emplacements are done, then nobody's going to be able to come through here regardless. gonna start pulling these guys back a little bit behind the walls just so that they're better protected. These are all anti-aircraft units, so we're just gonna scatter them around so that they can shoot enemy aircraft from all over the place. Now the engineers, but not my commander, can make this radar system. So we're going to have them do that right in the middle of our defensive line after they're finished producing defensive point defense turrets. Unfortunately, we can't use just a wave attack to overwhelm this enemy city the way that we did this northern defensive line, just because there are probably 10 or 12 factories down here that are producing units at least as fast as well, much faster than I am, since I've only got 3. And so that'll be a war of attrition, which I will not win. Another thing we're going to do is once we finish rebuilding this northern defensive line, then we'll have my commander come down south and build static defenses to take the place of this army. Here come the bombers. Looks like the commander is finished with building the anti-air turrets. So let's go ahead and reinforce this line down here. After they finish that, we would like them to build 2 more link factories, and then a new factory, an air factory. This will let us build bombers of our own, as well as air interceptor fighters that can take out the enemy bombers, and scout aircraft as well. think the defenses are to the point now where we can move this army along and start the capture process on these power generators. Alright, let's take all these static units here. And we are going to send them on a circuitous route. To come and prevent anyone else coming around this other way. Combat units cannot capture buildings, so that's why I'm not moving them in here to capture these generators. I need to actually bring an engineer over to do that. And in fact, let's go ahead and do that now. This guy's nearly done with his orders. What I'm finding is I'd rather have many more defensive turrets than I actually have. We're just not wiping out enemy forces as quickly as I'd like. This defensive line is now pretty well set against any land-based attackers, so I'm just putting up some
I'm not hearing any
static
Cybran
attacks.
ACUs cooking off, rookie.
Alright, here we go. We've got our engineer here capturing this Tech 2 power generator. It's going to do two things for us. First of all, like they were saying, that's going to power this artillery piece over here that we'd really like to be assisting us. But it's also going to solve this problem
How much
here where I don't
Cybran
have
blood
enough
is on
energy
your
generation.
hands?
For the meantime, let's go ahead and pause all three factories at once to help with those energy problems. You see now that I have run out of energy. That means that everything I'm doing that requires energy is either going to shut down, as in the case of my radar here, or it will function but at a slower rate, as with building buildings. Since I still have an income of 190, and I'm trying to use 207 at peak, it looks like, then I'm still able to do some work at that fraction, 190 207ths, or whatever the case may be, of normal speed. In the meantime, this guy cannot finish capturing quickly enough. That is much more what I wanted. Those bombers came up and they were destroyed quickly enough that the damage they inflicted to my defenses was minimal. I'm going to order this guy, after he finishes capturing that station, I'm going to go ahead and capture these other two as well. nearly finished on the capture. This yellow bar is usually used as a progress bar. You'll see green bars indicating health. For some units, you'll see blue bars indicating shield power or energy of some sort, and then yellow will typically be used as a progress bar. Now for a commander unit, see that same yellow progress bar, this time talking about the progress to build that factory. Speaking of factories, we have two more.
The Cyberns will never admit defeat!
That's the captured energy generator powering up our artillery piece here. So that'll be fun. As I was saying, I'm going to start producing more engineers with these factories down here, and then I'm going to ultimately have them start assisting the factories up here and producing just giant hordes of units again. The idea is we want to have 3 major armies here, all come attack simultaneously after the artillery is pounded on things for a while and soften them up. For the most part, we don't actually care about the enemy base, only its commander, so we can do a gank attempt to try to kill the commander specifically, but the defenses that commander has protecting him are pretty hardcore, and so my armies, given how much they scream out as they move, will pretty much be wiped out. One guy is going to assist with the capturing over there. Another guy is going to assist with the building of the base defenses up here. And that will be good enough. Now we'll pause these guys. Just because that way they'll be on par with these factories, which really doesn't matter. It's just an aesthetic consideration, more or less. And now I have 5 factories in total, all producing this infinite build queue of this one factory. So let's go ahead and double-click to select all the factories, and then unpause them all simultaneously. And now we should have even more units being produced. Let's go ahead and move these guys up, move these guys up, and we're going to set the rally point over here. And we need to move these guys up as well. And let's build 5 air scouts. Those 5 air scouts are finished building, and we're going to start mass producing bombers. It's safe to approach this southern end a little bit more than the northern end, because most of the defenses down here are anti-aircraft, and most of the defenses up here are anti-ground. That said, it's a general trend rather than an absolute truth, and we can get into plenty of trouble by rushing these guys out if we try. Send one of these scouts on a suicide run just to uncover as much of the enemy base as possible before it dies. Chances are it won't even get across it once before. Go ahead and just do exactly what I said we shouldn't. And we're going to rush everything simultaneously, except there's the right there. He's not taking damage nearly fast enough. Actually succeeded to gank after all. That's going to be a bit negative on the gank attempt, but...
Recall, damn it!
Oh,
Recall!
there he goes.
You actually took him down. Maybe you are cut out for this.
We appreciate the assistance, Commander, but... Oh my god. The Cybrans took Dr. Sweeney. He's one of our top researchers and key to Black Sun.
Shut up, Thompson. You eggheads get back to what you were doing. We'll worry about Sweeney.
Sir, General Clark sends her congratulations for successfully completing your first mission.
And there we have it. Hopefully a little bit more exciting and intense than your usual RTS training mission number 1. But that's why we love Supreme Commander. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you stayed for the whole thing. Like and subscribe, please, if you will. And I will have another video out after this. Bye.